Hi guys, welcome back to the Taurus Mix. In this video, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about something personal that happened to us last year. We're still on vacation in Cabo. We thought this would be the perfect time to go ahead and discuss what happened with my husband last year when he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. So I'm going to give him the floor. This is my husband, Kevin McNeil. I'm going to give him the floor and let him explain how this came about, because he's still young and cancer can happen to anybody. We see children with cancer, we see teenagers with cancer, we see young adults that are battling cancer. And a lot of these cancers, they want you to reach a certain age before you are able to even take a test to see if you have cancer, unless you have symptoms. And a lot of times those symptoms are misdiagnosed, and you as an advocate, you have to be an advocate for yourself and for your body. And if one doctor say it's this, and you know it's something terribly wrong with you, because there's only one you, and you the only one knows that it's something wrong with your body, and you have to advocate for that, because a lot of times people have been misdiagnosed, and by the time they are diagnosed correctly, the cancer has spread. So I'm gonna give the floor to Kevin and let him explain how it came for him to get diagnosed, and what did he do to advocate for himself.
All right, y'all. How y'all doing? Again, my name is Kevin McNeil. I'm a silent producer to the Taurus Mix, if that's what you want to call it, behind the scenes and do all that good stuff. But anyways, last year, well, no, in 2023, or with
2024.
Yeah, it was 2024. Okay. 2024. In March of 2024, I was at the doctor, at my general physician, getting a exam done, because I believe in going to the doctor and getting myself checked out and everything. I told him, I said, Doc, I said, I'll be 45 in April. I said, I need to get a referral for a colonoscopy. And he said, okay, we can do that. So he sent over a referral to the GI, and they called me back and they scheduled an appointment. And they said, well, we can do it on April, 29th, April 30th. And I said, well, 29th is my birthday. They said, well, we can do it May 2nd. I said, okay, that'll work. They said, give you a chance to enjoy your birthday. I said, okay, that works. So March, I was at the doctor getting a referral. On April 29th, 2024, I turned 45. And that was on a Monday. That Thursday, which was May the 2nd, I was getting a colonoscopy done. That was my first colonoscopy. Never had colonoscopy done before. So went through, came out, everything. Doctor was in the room. He waited till I woke up, and I remember waking up, real good. And so he said, we removed about 3 or 4 polyps. And then he said, and. So I said, okay, well, that's not good, because that's not the end of it. He said, and he said, during the procedure, he said, we found a mass on your large intestine. And it was on the top part of the large intestine, because for those of y'all that have any type of experience with medical or human anatomy, know that your large intestine has 3 parts. You have the part on the left side, on the right side, where the appendix is, that's called the ascending colon. Then you have the part that goes across your body, that's called the transverse colon. And then you have the part that goes down to connect to your small intestine. That's called the descending colon. So the mass was sitting on top of my transverse colon, but it was closer to the right side. So when he said that, the air had been sucked completely out the room for me. And when I tell you that was something that I was not expecting, because I was like, okay, I eat pretty good, you know, I work out, I drink plenty of water, and I, you know, do things in moderation. I don't drink like I did in my 20s, but I'm like, I don't smoke. You know, I taste a cigar every once in a while, but that's not very often. And I'm like, well, how did this happen? So he said, but don't worry. He said, it's a small mass and we caught it early. He said, so we're already on the phone getting you set up with a surgeon so that you can go in and have a surgery. And then we're already getting you set up with the oncologist as well. So that part was good for me because I had, you know, an aggressive team, medical team, and I also had, you know, my medical team was going through and they were going to make sure that I was going to be all right. So he said, like I said, it was a small mass. He showed me the picture of it. It wasn't even an inch big, but it's just the fact that it was there. And he said that, you know, that was just divine intervention for you to go ahead and get your colonoscopy set up. Because see, a couple of years ago, you know, they wanted you to get your colonoscopy done at 50, but they reduced it to 45 because of the number of cancer cases that have been, especially colon cancer. And my doctor told me, he said that, my GI doctor said that, don't worry, you caught it early, it's preventable, it's treatable, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to treat this aggressively to make sure that you come out on the winning side. So, of course, I had a couple of tears in my eyes and my voice was shaky a little bit. But at the same time, I had to go back to my faith because I remember, you know, that who I serve, and he's brought me through something much worse than this back in 2016, and I survived that, and I'm still here, so I'm going to survive this too. So within the next week, I was meeting with the surgeon, and she was so good, she was so great that, you know, she was just sitting down, she came in with a diagram, and I mean, she talked to us like we didn't know anything, which was good. It wasn't an insult to my intelligence, but she wanted to she wanted to be sure that we knew exactly what was going to take place. So a week or so after that, I was in surgery. Came out of surgery, excellent. She told me that I did great. They went in, and they went in on my left side. I have 4 incisions on my abdomen. The largest one is about 3 inches, and the other ones are less than 1 inch. And they used robotic surgery technique, advanced robotic surgery technique, and they went in and they removed half of the transverse colon and the whole right side of my colon over there. So that side got the appendix on it, so I don't have to worry about getting appendicitis. So that was a good thing. So I stayed in the hospital for like 3 days. They wanted me to pass gas and everything first to make sure that everything was sutured up and nothing would come apart. So I did what I did on the 3rd day, and then I went home. So in the meantime, while I was in surgery, they collected my lymph nodes, because when you go through cancerous surgery, the thing that they do is that they collect lymph nodes so that they can test those to make sure that, you know, the cancer has not spread from this point of origin, because lymph nodes are just glands that carry liquid throughout your body to nourish your cells. So it's a medium for cancer to travel. And a lot of people don't know that. They think that once they have the surgery that it's over with. No, you always have to check to make sure that that the cancer has spread or traveled, or as the correct terminology is, metastasized. So normally during a cancerous procedure, they only take 12 lymph nodes. But in my case, the doctor said that something told her to take 13. They tested the first 12, and there was no cancer in those 12. They tested number 13, and they found cancer in the 13th lymph node. So if they had only tested 12, I would have walked out of there still walking around with cancer in my body. And there is no telling where I would be this day or how bad off I would be this day if that surgeon had not pulled that 13th lymph node and had it tested. So she called back, after the surgery and everything, and I told her I was doing good. Well, she had me stitched up so tight I couldn't even stand up straight. It was horrible. It was horrible. But I did do a lot of walking in the hospital and everything like that. And I did a lot of walking when I got home. So she said, well, we found cancer, 13th lymph node, and we're sending the results to the oncologist. So went to the oncologist. Great lady, great doctor.
What
Real
hospital
nice.
Was this?
This was at St. Dominic's Hospital in Jackson. And y'all, St. Dominic's saved my life once before, so that's just who I deal with. That's just my hospital preference. Now, when it comes to trauma, UMC, that's just the place. But in this particular instance, St. Dominic is just my hospital of choice. But so the oncologist, she met with us and she already had a plan for me. She said, because you have cancer found in that 13th lymph node, so we're going to treat you aggressively, and so you're going to have chemotherapy for at least the next 6 months. So I started chemotherapy, I think it was like June or July. No, I had the surgery in June, and I started chemotherapy, I think July or August, but it was soon after the surgery. So, y'all, let me tell you, chemotherapy is what you're really fighting against. It's not the cancer, it's the chemotherapy. When your body is bombarded with drugs that powerful all at one time, I mean, your body has never experienced a fight like that. And I mean, it's like the stuff that you're trying to get help for is the stuff that's actually is helping you and is hurting you at the same time. It's just like antibacterial soap. When you wash your hands with antibacterial soap, you know that your skin has bacteria on it. It has good bacteria and bad bacteria. Well, that antibacterial soap does not target just the bad bacteria. It targets bacteria, period. So it's killing the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. So that's what the chemo does. It's not just killing the cancerous cells that's there. It's also targeting, damaging, hurting, killing your good cells that are in your body. And so there are a lot of stereotypes that people experience when they go through chemotherapy. Your hair falls out, your eyebrows fall out or thin out, you lose a lot of body hair, your skin, you lose skin color and all that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of different things, but first of all, it depends on what type of treatment that you're going through. And secondly, it depends on the type of condition that you're in before you get exposed to that type of treatment. So, I encourage people, man, keep yourself up. Keep yourself up, because you don't know when is your time to go under the knife or go in surgery, or that you may have to be, put down for a little while. You need to keep your body healthy, because the healthier you are before you go into something, the better you will be during the recovery period. And thankfully, I was healthy enough to where, I had enough, good stuff in my body to keep me going through the chemotherapy.
Let me ask you this. So, the third lymph node came back, and it was cancerous. So let's kind of talk about the stages of cancer. You have stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. In stage 1, that means what?
Stage 1 is that the cancer is present.
Stage 2?
Stage 2 is that the cancer is present and is spread, is growing. Stage 3 is the cancer has spread and it's spreading throughout the body. And stage 4 is like just really the point of no return.
Let's go back to stage 3. Now, when you talk about stage 3, from what I read, stage 3 is when it gets in the lymph nodes. And like Kevin said before, your lymph nodes is a conduit for cancer. It travels through the body through the lymph nodes. And when you find cancer in a lymph node, that means that you are in stage 3. Stage 4 is when the cancer has metastasized, what he talked about earlier, and that's when the cancer has spread to other organs in the body. So a person may have colon cancer, and because it has spread, it may be in the lungs, it may travel to the brain, it may travel to the liver, or other organs in the body. So when you get to stage 4, that's very aggressive. That means that the cancer's been there for a while. You got slow growing cancer and you got fast growing cancer. Everybody's cancer is not the same, like he said, and everybody's treatment is not the same. And although they did find one in his lymph nodes, because if they didn't find one in the lymph nodes, then he wouldn't have had to take any treatment. The surgery would have been it for him. But because they found it in the lymph nodes, to keep it from spreading to other organs in the body, that's the reason why he had to go under the chemotherapy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tell us a little bit of your experience once you took the chemo and what happened to your body. How did your body react to the chemo?
Well, first of all, before I went into the chemo, I had to go back to the surgeon, and she had to insert my chemo port. And what it is that it's just a little 2-inch incision right here in my chest. And matter of fact, I still got the port in there. But it's a 2-inch incision about right here, just up underneath my collarbone. And the port fits right up under the skin. And it's got little tendrils that connect to the blood vessels. Because once the port gets in, it's like a plastic bubble. And the needle goes into that bubble, and then the medicine is injected underneath that bubble into the port, and then the medicine spreads out into those tendrils that are feeding into my blood vessels. And the reason that it's up here is so it's close to my heart, so that the heart can pump everything out into the body. The first session, depending on your health situation and type of treatment, is going to determine how you feel. You're going to have days that you're tired, and I mean, like, you are very tired, and you are like just tired. Seems like you're just tired for no reason. And it's like no matter how, the more you sleep, the more you want to sleep. The more you rest, the more you want to rest. It's like everything becomes a chore. Even getting up, going to the bathroom. So I was sitting in the room, and they hooked me up to a machine, and the machine to feed me my chemo treatments and my other meds, and that would be a 3-hour process, and I would do that once every 2 weeks.
Let's go back. Before they actually give you the chemo, what did they give you in the port first to prepare you for the chemo?
Well, they flush your port out and everything. The first thing they do is they take a lab, and then they check your blood and make sure that your white blood cell counts and everything are good.
And they give you a medicine to keep you from being nauseous?
Yeah, they give you nausea medication. They give you all of that kind of stuff. They give you different types of medication according to, what your diagnosis is, and according to what they think that you're going to need. So
the chemo took 3 hours?
The chemo took 3 hours. Like I said, before going into chemo, they would go in, they would draw blood, and they would do that to test the blood to make sure that your white blood cell count, your red blood cell count, your platelets and stuff were in pretty in regular parameters enough for you to receive the chemo. If your white blood cell count was too low, you could not take chemo because you don't have enough white blood cells to, you don't have an immune system, basically.
Fight off infection.
Yep. And if you don't have an immune system, a common cold would kill you. Coming in contact with somebody who has COVID could be just drastic for your health. And if your immune system is below a certain number, they will not give it to you. But there were times where I had to take booster shots for my immune system. And when I tell y'all, those booster shots were painful because they hurt. Because my body just did not have anything to fight with. And so they had to go in, they had to inject, additional help for my immune system so that it could fight, so that I could receive the chemo during the next treatment. So
But when you took chemo, those 3 hours, because they was fighting it aggressively, you also explained about the chemo you had to bring home a bag.
So when I was done doing my chemo, first of all, the chemo juice is what they call it. It's nothing but liquid. So your kidneys and your bladder are going to work overtime. There were times where in those 3 hours I had to get up 2 or 3 times just to go to the bathroom, because that's all it is. It's just liquid that they're putting into your body. Once I was done and they took the needle out and bandaged me up and everything, then, they didn't take the needle out. But what they did, they disconnected me from the pump, and then I had a portable pump that I had to take home in a waist pack, in a fanny pack, for 48 hours. And I had 48 hours worth of chemo juice in there that I had to continue at home after each treatment.
So during that 48 hours, that pump was steadily pumping chemo into your body.
That pump was cycling every so often and injecting chemo juice into my body, because I still had to have it, in order to eradicate the rest of the cancer cells that was still in my body. So when I would go to chemo, they told me about my nutrition. I could bring certain things and I could eat while I was there, and I could sleep. They said bring a blanket because it's gonna be cold. And y'all, I'm just gonna be real. Dealing with chemo, it's like it just does something to your body that you have never ever experienced. And me myself, I'm not the type of person that gets cold, but I got cold and I didn't like it. I mean, I was cold. I was to the point where I hate wearing socks in the bed to sleep in, but I was wearing socks in the bed, and this is in the summertime, and I just could not get warm like I wanted to get. My appetite had changed completely. Like, there was stuff that I normally didn't eat that I wanted to eat, and there were things that I would eat that I just did not have a taste for it. I mean, there were days when I would get up and go into the kitchen and try to find something to eat, and I had plenty of food in there, but there was nothing in there that I wanted, because the chemo did not, it was not agreeing with me, and whatever I was eating is just, I just didn't want it. There were days where I was craving chicken noodle soup. I would eat about 3 cans of chicken noodle soup in one serving. There were days where I would be craving Whoppers from Burger King or Arby's roast beef sandwiches. I don't even eat Arby's like that. And I mean, but it was just, when you're dealing with chemo, your body just started craving, and you just have to get what you can get.
Tell them about the drinking cold liquids.
So some of the things some of the changes that your body experienced, one of the things that you're going to experience is called chemo brain. And what chemo brain is you have trouble focusing and keeping a train of thought, because the chemo is circulating through your brain cells as well. So you're not able to hold your attention, or you're not able to convey your thoughts like you want to, because the brain, that your brain cells are being attacked by chemo as well, and it's slowing down your thought processes. So, and then sometimes you may feel yourself or find yourself having speech impediments, because that's just what it does to you. It's called chemo brain. Second thing that I had trouble with was called first bite syndrome. And they told me about this too. They didn't tell me about it until I experienced it. But they said first bite syndrome. And what happens is, it doesn't matter what kind of food it is or how much it is. It doesn't even matter if it's liquid or anything. And I experienced this because I remember this plain as day. After my first chemo treatment, we went up to the Yaki Bowl, whatever the place is, Yaki Bowl, and we ate something. We got our little bowls where they, cook it up for you and everything, bring it out to your table. And I took my first bite. I mean, hot food, good, fresh. I took my first bite, and my jaws locked up, and they caught on fire. And they did that for probably about 20 seconds. And then after that, I could eat and had no problem with it. And that was that first bite syndrome. But then I couldn't even enjoy my food because of how I felt from that first bite syndrome. So normally I would eat all my food in one serving. I had to take it home because I couldn't eat it. Then later on, if I wanted to warm my food up and eat it, first bite syndrome all over again. It's like every 30 minutes or so, first bite syndrome is just all over again. So as soon as you stop eating and then you pause for about 20 or 30 minutes and you go and eat something else, boom, you're gonna have that first bite syndrome all over again. The third thing that I experienced, and I mean, it was just discomfort at its finest, was where I could not tolerate anything that was cold. Nothing. I went during that duration of chemo. I could not eat popsicles. I could not have ice cream. I could not have, cold drinks. I could not have anything that was cold. And as a matter of fact, if I went and I touched anything that was cold, it was painful. The cold was painful. And if I drank something that was cold, I had to learn how to drink lukewarm water, lukewarm ginger ale. Everything that I drank, it had to be lukewarm at room temperature. Because if I took anything that was cold and drank it during the time that I was on the chemo, it would feel like broken glass going down my throat. It would feel like swallowing broken glass, and I could not taste it. I could feel the broken glass, and it was every time I sipped something, it would feel like broken glass. But in between that 2 weeks that the chemo had passed through my body, then I could go back and I could drink cold liquids without a problem. But as soon as that chemo juice got back in my body, then that's when the broken glass feeling came back. So I could not tolerate anything cold while I was dealing with, the chemotherapy.
So doing chemo, you had chemo every other week.
Mm-hmm.
Every other week, and you'll go through the same process. And you said that sometimes your white blood cells were almost non-existent, so they would have to hold off and push back your chemo.
Yep.
What about the neuropathy? Could you explain that, or the pain in the body from having to take those shots to boost your immune system?
Yeah. So neuropathy is a common side effect to chemotherapy, and all it is just pain. It's just nerve pain, and they will give you pain medication and things like that. They'll recommend rubbing creams like Voltaren, or even tell you, you can use some Vic Salve, anything like that. But it was not muscular pain. It was deeper than muscular pain. It was almost like it was bone pain. And bone pain and muscular pain are two different types of pain. Muscular pain is superficial. Bone pain and nerve pain are deeper. It's up underneath the muscles. You can't reach that, with stuff. So you have to have, certain types of medications and certain types of deep penetrating creams that, go toward, hitting your nerves down there. But it's like even laying on something soft, it will still hurt. If you turned over, it would hurt. If you got up and went to the bathroom just walking, it would hurt. And I mean, like, you would hurt in places that you didn't know that you would hurt. You would hurt. And also another symptom that I didn't mention earlier was hiccups. Like, I had hiccups like for no reason. It didn't matter how much water I drank, how long I held my breath, the hiccups just would not go away. I just had an onset of hiccups. So they had to prescribe me some medicine for hiccups. And they also prescribed me some medicine for nausea. But thankfully I didn't have to take that very often because I'm good at, holding myself together.
Okay, during this process, did you everybody going through cancer is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
During your process, did you lose a lot of weight? Was you sickly, really sick, or you was able to still kind of cope and manage?
Yeah. I was still, pretty much healthy, but I still had some setbacks. I still had days that I was just tired. Like, I would wake up, I would go to bed at 10 o'clock, and I would wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then at 10:30, 11, I'm back down taking a nap, and I would sleep till about 3 or 4. It was just, and then even after sleeping that long, I get up, I'd eat, and I'd be ready to go back to bed because my body was just tired. I had no energy. I was feeding my body, but the chemo was so powerful that it had, it still had the chemo had control of my body. I didn't have control of my body. The chemo did. So I had days where I just didn't feel like it. I mean, wife come home and she tried to talk to him and she say I was grumpy and had an attitude. But when you don't feel like it, you just don't feel like it. And when you don't feel, people don't understand that have not gone through that you just don't feel like being bothered because you're already tired. And just anything else outside of what you're going through is only making it worse for you. So if you don't feel like talking, you don't have to talk. And to those who don't understand, whoever you're dealing with that's going through cancer, don't bother them and make them feel any worse. If they don't feel like talking, leave them alone. If they don't want to eat anything, leave them alone. If they don't want to drink anything, leave them alone. Just put the bottle of water or a cup of juice or something up on the nightstand. Just say, well, I left something here for you in case you get thirsty. And leave them alone. They are tired. They are physically tired. They are mentally tired. They are drained. They are emotionally tired. They are spiritually tired because the biggest thing they're trying to figure out is, why am I going through this?
Speaking of that, let's talk about a little bit about your faith, because when I found out that you had cancer, when he told me, to me, you was like, you was like, yes sir, I understand, and you was like, your voice didn't shake or anything, and I was in shock, I was in tears. But your faith, talk a little bit about your faith and how your faith got you through.
Well, like I said, back in 2016, I had a life and death issue. I had been admitted to the hospital with sepsis, and I was in the hospital for 10 days. And on day 7, my fever still hadn't broke, and they were preparing to put me in ICU and put me in a coma. But after day 7, my fever had finally broken. And to this day, they still don't know where I got that from or how I got it. But I'm still here. So that same faith that kept me during that life and death situation is the same faith that kept me through this. And with me being in law enforcement, and at the time I was working for the Jackson Police Department, and I was in homicide. And you know, we used to deal with the worst of the worst. We dealt with the worst of the worst. So, you know, my faith had protected me throughout all of that. And my faith protected me through all of everything else. All of the foolish things of my younger life and all of everything else. So the same faith that I had then, I had at this point, you know, with cancer. The same God that kept me covered through everything else up to this point, he kept me covered through this. So I just don't believe that God will bring me to something and not bring me through it. God don't bring you to something that's beyond your control and then leave it for you to handle. He's always got a way out. So, you know, I remember the scripture, in John chapter 9, verse 3, where it talks about Jesus when he spit on the ground and made the mud and put on the blind man's eyes. And the people came and started asking him questions. Said, Master, what has this man or his parents done to sin that he was born blind? And Jesus said that neither this man nor his parents have sinned. Said, but he was born blind so that you could witness the glory of God. So when you go through things in life, it's not because you have done something wrong, but it's just the fact that you have been chosen to exemplify the glory of God. And I just feel like that I had been chosen to go to exemplify the glory of God. And it's not because of anything that I have done, and it's not because I'm special for any reason or anything like that, but God knows who can handle what. He knows, you know, like I said, God picks certain people for certain purposes. He picks certain soldiers for certain battles. Well, with this particular thing, he chose me to deal with this. And I didn't go through this for me. I went through this for somebody else. Because somebody else is going to come behind me, and they're not going to have the mindset that I have to handle it. They're not going to be able to be cool in handling the situation. Because trust me, my wife was not cool at all. She was not cool at all. She was tore up. She was tore up. And even though she tried to hide it from me, I saw it, I knew it. So I had to be strong for both of us. And I had to stay calm and stay grounded and stay rooted. And, you know, because when you're going through a bad situation, you know, anything else that's not right is just going to make it worse. And if you don't have the faith, if you're not strongly rooted and you don't have your faith, because sometimes when you're going through, all you have is your faith. That's all you have. It don't matter what else you do, what you got. When I was going through my cancer, a lot of stuff that I would normally do, like if I was off work or anything like that, I found no pleasure in doing that stuff. I had books, movies, all kinds of things that I could have been doing. That stuff didn't bring me no pleasure because I had no interest in it. The only thing that sustained me through this was my faith. My faith in my family. That was it.
And you say that you went through this, and this is a testimony to help somebody else. And since you went through this journey, you have been able to help somebody else, correct?
Yep. I have come into contact with a lot of people that know me, and they were just so happy to see me after my ordeal. And they told me how much, you know, I influenced them, or, you know, how much they looked at me and said, man, you just don't know, you know, how much you have, you know, just influenced me to, you know, just to stay healthy, to go to the doctor and get checked out more and everything like that.
Yeah. another thing is that during your going through chemo, you didn't work every day, but you still worked, and you working for the Attorney General's office, you still had to do some traveling and work some cases. And earlier this year in May, they gave you the Top Cop Award.
Yep. So I got the Top Cop Award for from my employer, the Attorney General of the Office of Mississippi. And I wasn't expecting that, but I was truly grateful for that. And you know, I had a great support system, you know, with my employer. I mean, they made sure I had what I needed, and they checked on me constantly to make sure that I was okay, you know, to see how I was doing. And I mean, just a good group of people. And
the Attorney General, Ms. Lynn Finch, is a very humble, gracious woman, and she one of the sweetest people I've ever met. You know, I've never really met Attorney General until he became one of their investigators. But their whole department, the state really went on the limb to make sure that my husband had everything he needed. And we're gonna wrap this up, but I want to say that you did get a chance to ring the bell, right?
Yep, rang the bell to let them know that I was cancer free. And I'm still going through, you know, post-preliminary things, body scans and stuff to make sure that I don't have any setbacks.
So you still have the port, and you're going to keep that port until you continue to go on, take these scans, because every so often they have to double back and check to make sure that the cancer had come back or spread it, right?
Right.
But right now you are in remission, and according to faith, you are cured from cancer.
Exactly.
And I will insert some pictures of him or video of him, footage at the end of him ringing the bell, him receiving his Top Cop Award, and a couple of other pictures. But I wrote notes saying Kevin is cancer free, and I put him in the bathroom, I put it on the refrigerator, and put it in different places in the house by the computer, because when you look at that, you are affirming, and you're affirming your faith and your belief, because the power of the tongue is very powerful. And when you speak stuff, you can speak it into existence. So every time I would look at that, I would say, Kevin is cancer free. If I go in the kitchen, I say he's cancer free, because that was my faith and that was my belief. And with him and his relationship with God, and his faith was really strong. I didn't see him break down. I didn't see him cry or anything. He had to be strong for me, because I was so in shock that a person that's healthy, you had no symptoms, right?
No symptoms.
And that's how cancer is. You will go a long time and not have any symptoms. And when you do start to have symptoms, you are stage 4, stage 3 or 4. The cancer has advanced. It had metastasized. So my thing today is, please listen to your body, advocate for your body, and take care of yourself. And when you do have issues or things, make sure you do your research so that you can know what they're talking about. You don't want to go into something blind. You want to learn everything there is about your cancer, what type of cancer, the chemo, and the different stages. I'm going to let you in. What would you like to say?
Well, there was a couple of things I was going to mention. First of all, I did lose some weight. Not a whole lot, but I did lose some weight. And also that chemo will make you dream some crazy stuff. You have some crazy dreams. But I would just like to tell people, especially men, go to the doctor. I kid you not. Go to the doctor. Stop playing with your life. Being tough to get you, or talking about I'm a man, I'll get through this, that stuff will kill you quicker than anything else. Your attitude towards yourself will get you killed quicker than going out there and fighting somebody who got a gun. Take care of yourself. It's a selfish man who got family and people who, love him and depend on him, and he want to be hard and hard-headed and go through pain and stuff for no reason. And then when he finally gets some help, it's too late. That's selfish. Don't be like that. You got people who love you. You got people who depend on you. You got people who need you. Get yourself checked. Go to the doctor when you're supposed to. You're paying all this money for insurance out your check every week, every month. Use it. You got sick time that you're accumulating, vacation time, comp time. If you're sick and you hurting, you need to be home. Use it. That's what it's there for. Take care of yourself, because nobody's going to take care of you like you. Nobody's going to love you like you. Nobody knows you better than you. Take care of yourself so that you can continue to take care of your family. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Stop being hard. A man needs to be helped too. And they also told me too that, during my ordeal, they offered me services for counseling, because some people are messed up mentally when they have to deal with stuff like that. I hadn't personally had to use those services, but there are some people out there who have, and they are there. Even if I need to go later, the services are still there. So, I mean, this is an ordeal that hit me and it touched me, and it would only be right for me to share it as a testimony to everybody else, so that you can help yourselves and help your family, so that you can still be here, because you don't want to die before your time. We all have a lot of time to leave here, but you don't want to die before that time. So just take care of yourself, do what you got to do. Don't worry about a doctor bill. I'd rather be here to pay the doctor bill than for somebody to pay the doctor bill after I'm gone.
Amen.
Be here to take care of yourself and your family.
Once again, this is the end, you guys. And if you made it to the end, I thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Taurus Mix and Move On Right. I want to thank Kevin for coming on and sharing his story with us. You guys continue to have faith in God. Be blessed. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Mississippi Attorney General's Office Senior Investigator Kevin McNeil is deserving of the top Bravo Award for integrity, perseverance, and humanity he brings to the badge every day. Senior Investigator Kevin McNeil.
It's on video.
Okay, that one's on video.
So it's already recorded.
And mine's on photo.
Okay.